Perfect. So it's 9 o'clock, so I will kick it off. Welcome everybody to the second webinar that the Oklahoma Transition Council is putting out. And this one is about community resources by Joni Bruce and Angela Donley of the Oklahoma Family Network. And we're really happy to have them talk to us about community resources. I think it's a great time for us just to do that. As I mentioned in the group chat, and if you guys that are online, if you're not seeing the group chat, if you will go to the bottom of your screen, you may have to use your cursor a little bit so that it'll show up. But you should see something that says chat. Just click on that and it'll bring up a window for you to be able to chat to the presenters. So that way, if you have a question, you can just type right in. One note, just make sure that you use the drop down that says, because it may send private notes that you can, if you know someone, you can say hi. But if you'll mark everyone, it'll just make sure that our hosts see that as well. So I'm gonna be quiet now and let our hosts take it away.
All right, thanks, Jen. If you can't hear, just holler. If I need to turn the volume up or something. But like Jen said, I'm Angela Donley with Oklahoma Family Network. I am the Autism Family Support Partner, and I have a 12-year-old son who's in 6th grade with autism, and a whole lot of other fun things, but mainly autism. So he's kind of why I do what I do here at OFN, and I will let Joni kind of introduce herself too before we start.
And I'm Joni Bruce. I'm with Oklahoma Family Network, and it was through the Transition Council's Transition Institute is where I learned how to help my kids transition from high school, one to college and the other to adulthood and adulting, and he's still trying to figure all that out. But we're glad you're here today, and this webinar is actually set up as just an opportunity to get a fly-through of a number of transition and community resources. And I will tell you, we've cut out a number of slides from this. If you've seen us do it at the Transition Institute before, we cut it down so it'll fit it within about 40 or 45 minutes. We're glad to send Jen the full slideshow so you can look at that later if you'd like.
So we'll kind of get started here. So today we're doing community resources. And like Joni said, we've kind of pared this down, and it's kind of a quick and short version, and we can go into more detail on anything in the Q&A, or like Joni said, send you the slides too for that. This is kind of who we are. This is Oklahoma Family Network and kind of what we do and who our partners are and some of who we get our funding from. We're the federal grantee in Oklahoma for family-to-family health information centers. We're also the P2P for Oklahoma for the parent-to-parent network. We're a partner in the Children's Behavioral Health Network with the Department of Mental Health and NAMI. Our NEST project and parents helping parents. Sorry, I always forget those guys. Then our NEST project is a lot of the NICU work that we do. Family Voices of Oklahoma, we're part of that, and then Families Fighting Childhood Cancer. So those are kind of some of our main partners and funding sources for OFN. Let me move. Sorry, my chat thing is in the middle of that. So this is a quote. I'm sure many of you know the great Jan Moss and have heard her speak, and she's amazing. And so one of the things that she says is partnering for a good life for us and our kids begins with an individual having a supportive network of family, friends, and others to assure their child has what they need when they need it and the way they need it. That's true help. If you're not giving them what they need when they need it, then it's not very helpful. Our community resource training is based off this guide to community services that the Center for Learning and Leadership put out. And it's an amazing book and all the resources and the ways to get them in Oklahoma. So if you don't have those, you can get on their website and look it up. One of the great things about this guide online is the links are live. So you can just go there and click on the links and it'll take you directly to that service's website. So we're going to start off with assistive technology. kind of what that is. And many of you probably know that the devices, equipment, or systems that enhance or increase, maintain the physical and mental capabilities of people with disabilities. And they help. Assistive technology can be low tech, high tech. It can be all kinds of different things, from a pen to an elaborate motorized wheelchair that helps a person get around. Some of the places that help you with that, you can get into and get the links for that and find all kinds of places that will help you with assistive technology. The DRS expands opportunities for employment. They can help people find jobs. They can help transition from school to work, all that kind of fun stuff. You can access it in the beginning through the school. I think they start at the age of 16, correct? When you start that transition phase.
And their resource guide that's online, you can see the web address there at the bottom of your screen has resources of all types, from housing to assistance with finding jobs and that sort of thing. So that'll be a website you might want to save in your favorites.
Oklahoma Able Tech. This is a really, really, really great program. One of the main things that I know we have accessed personally is the device loan program. If you are needing to get, like, for our child, we used it to test out an iPad and all the device so he could get his own iPad. A lot of times you have to prove that your child can use that with the program, so Medicaid will pay for that. So we were able to borrow an iPad from them, get video of our child using it, and then the speech path could write a prescription, and we could get our own iPad for him to use as a communication device. So Oklahoma Able Tech was a huge, huge partner for us in that. They also have a lot of, they'll come into the schools and help train the education system and help support them on how to use different things, such as iPads or different assistive technology like that. They've got a great loan program where they can give, if you need modifications to a car or just different things that might be really expensive that you need for assistive technology. They have a great loan program where you can get really low interest rates to get that loan so you can get the things that you might need. They're in, I think they're still housed in Stillwater, correct? And they're great. They just mailed us, the iPad, we mailed it back. They've got great services that you can access.
We did the same thing with an FM system with my son. He has ADD, and he also was diagnosed with dyslexia, and we found that using an FM system was very helpful. And then Oklahoma City Public Schools was willing to get one once we saw that it was very helpful. The other thing we might mention is we've had families that have actually gone to Stillwater, and Able Tech actually takes them through their program and assesses the child and then lets them try out different pieces of equipment to see which, because there's a number of walkers and different things, and they could, or a stander, and they can actually look to see which one is best for the child. So that's a great way to utilize them as a resource as well.
They also have a really great reuse program. Mm-hmm. So if you have old equipment that you can't personally use anymore, you can give that back, and somebody else might be able to use it, or different things. If you need something to borrow for a while, they can do that as well. So developmental disabilities and special health care needs section. So we're going to start with DHS and their children with special health care needs. So this program provides specialty services to children with special needs and their families. There's all kinds of different programs that fall under DHS. One of the main ones that we help families with that we work on a lot is their TEFRA program. On helping get kids access to Medicaid who wouldn't traditionally be on a Medicaid. So it's great because it's based on the child's income and not the family's income. So it's another way that children can get that Medicaid help that they need as a secondary insurance, or what they need, so they can access different programs and help take some of that financial burden off the family. We do a lot of that at OFN. We partner with a couple other people and do a little bit of a training on TEFRA, and just kind of help families wheel through that paperwork because there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with TEFRA. But that's one of the main things that we help with under the DHS
and
umbrella.
with their Title V funding, they actually, in the past, they used to do incontinence supplies. Now that Medicaid covers that, they don't. But oftentimes there are things that families will have a hard time getting funded, and they'll partner with the family and with their insurance company and or Medicaid and help kind of fill some of those gaps. And they provide funding not only to Oklahoma Family Network to serve their families, but also the Oklahoma Infant Transition Program at OU. That's kind of the other end of the spectrum of transition. And they provide funding to the 360 Center, the Center for Learning and Leadership, and Sooner Success, and then J.D. McCarty, so that children who have high medical needs and a developmental disability can actually go into J.D. McCarty for a 30-day evaluation. And it can also be a good respite for families.
So some of the things that SSI DCP, that children's program of SSI, can provide are some of the expensive formulas that a lot of insurances don't cover, adaptive equipment, professional services, diapers, age 4 and older, which we can now get access to from TEFRA, which is very, very helpful. If you have a child that's older, that's still incontinent, you can know that those things like that get very, very expensive, and you go through quite a few of them. So that's something really, really great that you can get, and you can apply for this by visiting your local county DHS office, and they should be able to tell you if you would qualify to get on the SSI DCP.
The child has to receive, they have to be under the age 18 or under, and they have to receive at least $1 of Social Security in order to qualify for this program.
The Family Support Assistance Payment. This is a cash program for families who are caring for their children with a disability under the age of 18 at home. It can range from about $250 to $400 per month. This was on a hold, and it has just been released, so families can now apply for that. There is, I think, there's maybe a 2-year waiting list, last I heard, on this program, but the list is moving as to where they weren't even taking applications a few months ago. So families can start accessing this. It's a cash payment. You can use it for pretty much, I think, anything. If you want to use it for respite, you could use it for that. If you want to use it for extra speech or different things that maybe your insurance and Medicaid wouldn't pay for, adaptive swim lessons, horse therapy, different things like that, you could use this payment for that.
Some families even use it for a car payment, so that they just have to understand it ends once the child is 18, but it's a cash payment. So they could pay rent, they could pay a car payment. It can be for anything that they need. Yeah. So it's really great. So if you have families that might need to access that, have them get on that list. The in-home support and community waivers, I'm sure all of you have heard of that, and the wait list that goes with that. The great thing about that is recently we've gotten $2 million to start moving that list, thanks to some great advocates that worked really hard on that effort. So that list will be moving soon, and there's actually some wait list meetings that are coming up. I think the next one is June 18th, I want to say, but that might be totally wrong, but we'll look that up. So then there's a waitlist meeting. It's always in the Sequoia building down on kind of by the Capitol area. So I would really encourage you to come, or any families that you know that might have loved ones on the wait list, to come and share their story and meet and talk with the rest of us about the wait list and what's going on with that. It's Thursday, June 14th, 1:30 to 2:30 at the Sequoia building. So I'd encourage you guys to come to that too and help us get that list moving. So the DD Council, everybody loves the DD Council because we have Jen, who does a lot of great things, and all the great people at the DD Council.
one of the things that they have coming up right now that they do every year that's just an amazing, amazing program is YLF, Youth Leadership Forum. It's for the development and training of high school students, juniors and seniors, and I think sometimes sophomores. Jen, you can totally jump in and correct me if that's wrong. And they teach them to advocate for themselves. They teach them just, all kinds of different things that once they're getting older, they need to learn how to navigate systems on their own. They do a week-long stay on a college campus. They bring in speakers from all over the place to talk to these kids, and they do great team building exercises. And it's just a really, really, really cool program. So if you know juniors and seniors in high school, I would really encourage them to go.
Hey, Jen, will you type or speak up and say when it is? We've got the 2016 date on there. We'll fix that on our slides. If you'll type it in your group chat, we'll say it out loud, or if you want to say it real quickly.
Okay, so this year it's June 12th to the 16th. And the applications are due by March 1st every year. So it's a little late for this year, obviously, but for next year, keep it in mind. It's an amazing, amazing program, and they work really hard on it. And some of the kids that I know or I've spoken with just rave about it, and they love it, and it's so much fun.
One of the things that they do is they take them to the Capitol. So they actually have a mock session where they talk about a piece of legislation that has passed or didn't pass in the last, few years, so that they actually learn by doing, to share with legislators that are on a panel what's important to them. So then when real life steps up, they're ready to do that.
One of the other things that the DD Council does is Partners in Policymaking. This is a class that is a year long. They meet on a weekend every month. I think it's October to May, 1 weekend a month, and it's a time dedication, but I promise you it's nothing you would regret taking. It's totally life-changing. As a parent who's taken it, it's amazing. It's for parents, it's for professionals. They bring in speakers from all over the country to talk about just different topics in disability, leadership training. You go to the Capitol, you learn how to advocate for different pieces of legislation. It's an amazing, amazing program. Next year is the last year they're doing it. Then they're taking a break to kind of get some different speakers lined up and different things like that and kind of regroup. The applications to apply for this next coming year will be due at the end of June. And I would really, really encourage anyone to apply for this program. It's truly amazing. They provide all your meals. They give you books and all kinds of different things. They really invest in you to succeed in your advocacy journey. The Consumer Involvement Fund that they have is it helps people go to conferences or attend trainings that they may not be able to financially. It's kind of a scholarship program type thing. You apply for it and the council will approve or not approve depending on what you're going to. And they just ask, from what I understand, they ask that you just come back and share what you learned with everybody else to kind of share that knowledge. And I'm pretty sure it's still active right now. I think they're taking applications if there's something that you want to attend. But again, Jen, jump in if that's not right. And they also have a really great resource library that they can lend books from. They've got all kinds of great books that you can borrow and return and read. So I would encourage you to check that out if there's something that you're looking for, a specific book or piece of knowledge that you would like to learn.
On the Consumer Involvement Fund, I just add, we all need to have a little skin in the game. And so typically the DD Council will pay a portion, but then they ask us as well to provide something, whether you're, they may pay for your registration to a national conference, and then we might need to pay for the child care for our kids if they can't come, and then we may pay for the airfare or something like that. But that's just a way that each of us, it's really a partnership where they support us in gaining more information. And I know Heather Pike and I use this the very first time we went to a parent-to-parent conference where we learned about the Family to Family Health Information Center, and then actually wrote the grant a couple years later. And we really attributed the fact that the DD Council, helped us to pay our airfare and our hotel, and then we paid the other cost so that we could be a part of that and get to know other national leaders.
Disability-specific resources. The first one we're kind of going to get to right now is autism. So there's 3 kind of big autism groups in the state that we have partnered with and we know the most about. The Oklahoma Autism Center has there's 3 pieces to that. The Early Access Program provides free autism screenings to families across the state. The MESA Project, they may call it something different now. They change their name sometimes. And I'm not sure if it's called MESA or if it's called Project Peak. Or maybe Project Peak was the old name. I think MESA is the new name. But they provide trainings and support on different autism-related topics to the education teachers and just different people in the education field. They do a great supporting network of all the teachers. They'll bring them in for trainings, and they'll do great parent panels. So they get to talk to parents. They get to learn, what is autism, how to deal with challenging behaviors, different things like that. So that's a really great program that they do. There's a para training, there's an actual educator training, different things. So, and then the Early Foundations is the model preschool program that includes children with autism that have an early diagnosis and typical peers in a type of Mother's Day Out preschool type setting. Autism Oklahoma, they just recently had their walk last weekend. They're parent-led organizations that serve families in support groups. They've got, different pods all over the state. Blanchard, Shawnee, Canadian Valley, Guthrie, Edmond, Muskogee, Norman, OKC, Stillwater, and their newest one is in Tulsa. They also have an Autism Latino group for Spanish-speaking families. They meet usually once a month, and they do support group different family activities. They'll bring speakers in, like from the Parent Center, to talk about IEP trainings. Different therapy places might come in and talk about challenging behaviors, different things like that. But it's a great resource for families to come in and get information and just kind of meet people and, kind of get that group support. A lot of the different support groups will do different things together. They, most of them that I know of usually provide free childcare. So while you're at the meeting, the children will be watched, typical children and kids on the spectrum. They provide that free childcare, so you don't have to worry about your kid. So when you attend the meeting, your whole family can go. And then the Oklahoma Autism Network, they've actually got their conference. They're starting to plan their conference. It'll be in November again. They're a great resource. They've got a great family person that helps get resources and just, support for families. They do great referrals, and they do their statewide autism conference. I'm not sure who the speakers will be yet, but I know they usually have a really great lineup every November. Do you want to take that one?
Sure. The American Foundation for the Blind, many of you may know where their site is. It's real close to the Capitol, but they provide a newsletter. They have a number of Braille resources. They have a toy guide for children who have a vision impairment. They can provide support to people who speak English or Spanish. And then they're also connected to the School for the Blind in Muskogee, which is actually under the Department of Rehabilitation Services. But one of the things that's really nice about that library is you don't just have to have a diagnosis of blindness to utilize it. I know when my kids were little, they both had central auditory processing disorder, and we were able to go and get, I'm showing my age here, books on tape. So you could listen to the child could listen to the story and then also see the book at the same time. And it helped with their literacy skills during this summer. And then the Brain Injury Association of Oklahoma and the Oklahoma Brain Tumor Foundation both provide information to individuals who have a brain injury. And oftentimes this is a group of people that really fall between the cracks, because oftentimes it happens after the age of 18, and so it's not considered an intellectual disability or developmental disability. It's an acquired injury. I know the Oklahoma Brain Tumor Foundation even has funding available for families. So, you know, if it's one of the parents that can no longer work, sometimes they have funding resources available. And then the Ability Connection of Oklahoma is the old Cerebral Palsy Foundation. So if you don't recognize that name. So they do have local offices in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and they have a great packet that we've helped many of our families connect to. That is for those that have just recently been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and that can be really helpful. And they have access to equipment loans, and they have a support line, and their staff are very knowledgeable. And then Woven Life is the old Easter Seal, so you may not recognize that name either. They have adult day services and then an integrated daycare for children who are of age of 2 to 6 years old. They also have financial assistance for equipment, and they have a number of resources available just for health information. And then they also have a medical rehabilitation unit. And when you get the slideshow, all of these links are live, so you can click on them and it will take you right to their website. This one I know all too well in my family. I think everyone in our house has this. Children and adults with attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder or CHAD. It's a national organization, and on their website, they not only have information about if someone's just wondering if they or their child may have it, they have a list of very common symptoms, if you will. I hate to call it that, but I guess that's what it is. So that if you're wondering if you or your child might have it, you can go through that list. They have goals for IEPs, a number of ideas that are very helpful. They have a national conference. It is a membership organization, so if you want to join it, there's a small fee, but there are additional resources that are available. Excuse me. And then for deaf and hard of hearing, of course, there's the School for the Deaf in Sulphur, which the Department of Rehabilitation Services runs, and they have a number of resources from that. They'll provide specific assistance to schools. They actually have staff that'll even provide consultation where they could come to your school to help if you have a child that is being mainstreamed or is in your special education program, so that they can support your staff as they support the child. And then the National Deaf Education Center is available. That's a national organization. They have a conference and a number of training opportunities. They have an online newsletter and a summer institute where professionals and then individuals who have a diagnosis of deaf or hard of hearing. And then the A.G. Bell organization, there used to be a local chapter, but now that's gone away, but there is a national chapter, and they even provide batteries for hearing aids for families that need assistance with that. Sometimes if kids aren't on Sooner Care, it gets pretty expensive trying to keep batteries in their aids.
The Down Syndrome Association, there's one in one of Central Oklahoma, one of Tulsa. They provide some really great resources for parents, new parent packets, whether you had a diagnosis in utero or you are finding out after your child's already here. They've got great new parent packets. They will visit parents at home or a hospital, great support groups, including a dad's group in Oklahoma City. They do a buddy walk every year and a calendar, and I know they do a golf tournament because I've seen them advertise that too. And they have an annual conference they bring in some great speakers. You don't have to have a child with Down syndrome to attend their conference. I've gone before, I know it, just because I know the speakers and I want to hear them speak on different educational issues or different, life issues. So check them out. They're great resource. They do a lot of really fun things too, like Kylie's Kitchen and, tutoring for their kids. And I know they do a new something like an advocacy training, I think, or something for older kids where I think Joni would have gone in and talked to them about just different things or different, life happenings. And taught them maybe life course tools and things like that. So they have some really great things going on if you know a family who has a child with Down syndrome. The Epilepsy Foundation, they also had a walk this past weekend. They're a great resource for just basic epilepsy information and finding doctors, medication information. They have a conference. If you need help getting access to medication, they're great about helping with that. They've got kids club with activities. Jennifer, her name's Jennifer, right? At the Epilepsy Foundation, it's just a wealth of information. If you need to know anything, call them, because more than likely she's got a resource or knows somebody that does. So she's a great resource.
And then learning disabilities. We have the Learning Disabilities Association of Oklahoma, who provides a conference each year, and they transition it back and forth between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And it can be a huge help both for families as well as professionals. And then there's a number of resources on their website. LD Online is one of my very favorite online supports. There are ideas for IEP goals, a lot of information on learning disabilities. I know that they even had, when my kids were younger, they have all kinds of tools. For instance, they have a notebook where it helps a student really stay more organized, where they have tabs and different things. I remember one of the tools that we used is how to learn how to study for a chapter test, such as in science. And it was a creative way to do it. You took a large piece of construction paper and cut it in different places and folded it over. And it was just a lot more fun way for a child with learning disabilities to prepare for a test instead of just doing it just the old-fashioned way of looking through a book.
Flashcards,
yeah.
Sitting at the table.
Yeah, it gets a little old. And then we'll move into education resources.
One of our great partners is the Pervasive Parenting Center. They're out in Poteau area. They serve the counties of Sequoia, Haskell, Latimer, and LaFleur. Tony is the one that runs the Pervasive Parenting Center, and he is an amazing dad who has a son on the spectrum, and he's a great support and knows all kinds of stuff out there. They've got a support group. They've got SIB shops. They do a lot of trainings. He's great with IEP help. They've got some peer mentoring that goes on in their center. They're a great resource for Eastern Oklahoma.
Yeah, he has a youth summer program where young adults actually come to his office each week, and they either do training or they help in the office and that sort of thing.
The Oklahoma Parent Center, they're the federally funded training and information center for Oklahoma. They do, they've got a conference coming up, I think in a few weeks, at the end of May. I saw they posted their agenda online the other day. It looks like a really great lineup of different education topics and special education. They do workshops and trainings. They do regional help at different places across the state. They've got a great resource library. They've got a fantastic website. If you need to know anything about IEP questions, how to communicate with your school, check out their website, because it's really great resource on letter writing campaign for parents. I send parents to that all the time. But they're a great resource. If you have questions, give them a call. They'll usually always return your call within 24 hours, but they're a great resource for families in Oklahoma if you have questions on education or IEP or things like that. The Special Education Resolution Center, if you just are having a really hard time getting along with your school, or you need something, settling disputes at an early stage so there's not a huge problem and everybody's upset, they will help you get your problem solved and kind of help mediate that conflict between a parent and a school, for due process hearing systems, different things like that.
One of the things that's been nice is it's really, since they've been in existence, it has really reduced the number of due process that have had to happen in the state. They really take the stance of let's work together and see if we can work this out.
Rights Law, most of the time now, the Disability Law Center used to bring Rights Law in every year. They're not doing that at this time, but they are still a great resource, I think, for families if you want to know something specific on an IEP goal, if you want to know if your school is doing something that maybe you don't agree with, if it's the right thing or not. You can look it up on here and they can tell you if it's right or if it's not, or maybe you should work with them in a different way. They've got a great different list of resources that you can pull from, that you can look up. They've got great books if you want to purchase their books on different, what is IDEA, law, what is just different, I don't know, I'm trying to think of just different
it really helps
things that you can look
to
at.
bring the parent rights as well as school rights down on paper. I think it's pretty helpful. And usually the Disability Law Center has brought them to Oklahoma for many years, but unfortunately, due to lack of resources, they won't be coming this year. But their website has a list of dates and places of where they'll be. And I think he's helpful just because he grew up with learning disabilities. He had dyslexia and attention deficit disorder, and he's gone to law school, but he can be really encouraging just from a parent's perspective or the youth's perspective, knowing even though you had, different types of disabilities, you're able to not only make it through college, but also through law school.
These are just some different assistants that you can call. In Oklahoma, you can call 211. There's a website on ABLE accounts, which should hopefully be launching soon. Catholic Charities, Don and I Foundation, the Social Security, United Healthcare Foundation, just different kind of online resources that you can get. Some will offer, financial assistance. Some will just offer connections to you on if you need something specific, like help with an electric bill, or maybe where the nearest food pantry is, different things like that. These are just some great links that we wanted to stick in that you might have another option to look up. So then health, mental health, and all the other fun stuff that goes with that. This is us.
And I think probably a lot of you know about OFN. We do provide parent-to-parent support where we match families who have kids who have very similar experiences. In some of the areas, our staff provides support groups and SIB shops. We have staff that specifically go to hospitals that support families while their children maybe are having surgery or in an ICU. We direct families to and help them navigate different types of services Angela mentioned earlier. Sometimes we help fill out applications, or if someone has filled out an application for TEPRA and they haven't heard anything in a long time, sometimes we can make phone calls or emails that'll help kind of find out, why is it stuck? Where is it? And maybe help move that forward. And then we have a leadership development program for our families where we provide all types of training, and we host the Joining Forces Conference, which is a day for families and professionals as well as community members to come together to look at how we might make services and supports even more family and youth friendly. This is a map of all of our regional staff, and you can see there's Angela Donley, and then also Anita Lena and Amy Duncan answer the phone here in the office. They take turns. And then each of them has another role as well. And then you can just see that, excuse me, that we have staff from Guyman to Tahlequah. Excuse me. And you'll see that we noted Cody Tony there as well. We have a great partnership with him. And then Natasha West covers the counties that he covers as well. And then one of our grants that Angela mentioned earlier is the Children's Behavioral Health Network grant, and we partner with NAMI Oklahoma and Parents Helping Parents. And in essence, our goal is just to make sure that children, youth, and their families who have behavioral health experiences not only have the emotional support, but also information and training, and also that they do have a voice at the table. So we help to identify families who would like or benefit from going to the Children's Behavioral Health Conference. The Department of Mental Health hosted that last week, and we brought in 27 families and their kids to actually come to the conference and attend the sessions and learn more about their child's health issues and then how to advocate for them.
systems of care is a really, really great program. If your child qualifies to get them in, they learn how to, kind of advocate for themselves. The wraparound process is amazing. I've seen it work for families just to kind of get back on track. They help them build a team around the family. So the family has a way to, they have access and support of their community when they have, mental health conditions or, something where they need more support and a plan of care. It's really great. Joni might be able to speak more about that, but I've only been involved in a few cases, but just to watch the families come out of that, it's a really amazing process if you get a family involved in the systems of care and the wraparound.
They have 2 levels of care. Level 1 is just basic support, help them get connected to a therapist and that kind of thing. The wraparound, the kids need to be served in 3 different systems. And so it might be that they're seeing a psychiatrist on a regular basis for medication management. They're probably receiving, maybe they have a behavioral plan at school. They may be in child welfare custody or Office of Juvenile Affairs. So as long as they're being served by at least 3 resources, then they commonly will qualify. They receive a family support provider as well as a care coordinator. The care coordinator actually helps partner with the schools and other professionals, where the family support provider really helps families just to really get their voice, and they'll sit down with them on a weekly basis and help keep them on track.
Just a couple of other ones. There's Office of Disability Concerns. If you are having a problem with something, they can help you navigate that. They provide information, advocacy, and referral services for people with disabilities. And then the Oklahoma Disability Law Center, they help provide free legal services for any family that's needing help with something. If you have a problem with your child, or if you are an adult and you're having a problem, you can call them and they can tell you, something, if it's versus education or civil rights or, anything like that. They have a team of lawyers and they help you navigate that, that whole legal system. And then their services are free if they take your case. Oh, and I think we're going to cut the case study maybe, so we have time for questions and kind of go with that. And I was trying to keep up with the sidebar at the same time. But yes, you're always welcome to call our main number that's on your screen now. And if we miss your call, we will call you back within 24 hours. Sometimes, since we're all parents that work for Oklahoma Family Network and we all have children with disabilities or special healthcare needs, depending on what's going on in our lives at the time, you may miss us. But we'll always give you a call back, and Jen's going to send out the PowerPoint. But if anybody has any specific questions, we would be more than happy to answer anything.
And just to remember, I think Jen typed in the group chat actually, we'll give Jen the longer PowerPoint that has even more information in it, but it'll be located at the link where she's posted there. And we do encourage you, there's a number of times that providers will call us, schools, healthcare providers, mental health providers will call, and we'll just brainstorm with them. We do that with child welfare on a regular basis as well, where sometimes if you're struggling, you can just call and we can get a couple of staff on the phone and just brainstorm any concerns that you might have, and maybe you haven't been able to come up with a resource for a family. And keep in mind, we do have staff across the state. Even if they live in Enid and you live, west of there, they support that whole region. So feel free to call those staff as well. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Life course tools. The life course tools are amazing. There's actually going to be the next webinar that they do, that Jen's doing on this DRS, is over the life course tools that Heather Pike and Wanda Felty are going to do. So make sure you sign up for that one, because it's going to be really good. It's a great thing. We did it 2 years, I think, in our Joining Forces conference. It helps just, helps families think through different situations. It helps kids map out their good life trajectory on how to get where they want to be and what they want and what they don't want and what does their good life look at. It's really great. Thank you. Yeah, Lori posted the website. Check it out. There's great examples on there. But I would encourage you to learn more about that and sign up for the next webinar that's, I think, in June.
And not to be a spoiler alert, but if you click on that link that Lori posted and then go to Life Course Resources and then click on Life Course Tools, there are that's in Spanish, but there are a number of tools on there that we use on a regular basis. And like Angela said, you start with what does and it's great to do with young adults, especially if we, the parents, aren't in the room, because they'll be more candid. And you just say, what does a good life look like? Well, I want a car. I want to go to the tech center to learn how to be a chef. Or whatever it is that they want to do.
I want to move out of my parents' house.
Absolutely. And they might not have the courage to say that in front of the parent. But then what you can do is break that down into just tiny pieces and figure out, well, what is it I need to do between now and when I finish school? Or if my goal is to be in my own place by the time I'm 21, what do I need to do between now and then to meet that goal? But definitely do that next webinar, because I think those tools, well, they're appropriate really for any population, but I think for the young adults that you guys are working with that are preparing to transition to adulthood, it's really ideal. They're very simple, and there's a lot of really good information on that website to help walk you through it.
And you can start it. The great thing about them is you can start at any time. You can start when your kids are transitioning, that first transition, maybe from sooner start to the public school. What do you want their school to look like? And then you can have the kids start doing it on their own when they're transitioning maybe out of high school into whatever comes next for them. What do they want next? How do they get there? What is that going to look like? And there's different ways you can use the tools. The star chart's one of my favorite. If you look in that, and you can put a problem in the middle and work yourself around it. You can put a goal. It's amazing.
Oh, what to read? Okay,
what to
click on Life Course Resources. After you get on the Life Course Tools website, click on Life Course Resources, and it'll give you a pick list, and click on Life Course Tools, and then you have a choice between Spanish or English. Let's go back to the Community Resource Guide at the very beginning. Okay. We're going to take you back to the very, I think it was the second slide, because it's a little farther down.
This one.
Yeah, the guide to community resources. You can see a link at the bottom there. I don't know that we mentioned. If you click on that link, it goes to the updated version of this guide, and they try to keep that up so that all the links inside of there are working properly. It will give you a lot more information on many of the resources that we touched on today are also in that guide, and it'll give you a lot more information on each one. If you don't want to go to the individual website, this would kind of give you an overview of each of those resources, and then you can click on the individual websites to get more even deeper information.
And it's a great resource. It'll tell you, what you do to qualify if there's a like if your salary is going to make a difference on whether you qualify for a specific resource or, anything like that. It will kind of give you a great chart on if you're going to qualify, if you should look more into it, if you should not. You can kind of see what you need to research and where you need to go. But the links, I think, are my favorite part, because you can just click and it takes you straight to it, and you're not having to look everything up every 5 seconds.
It also tells you by age. For instance, early intervention is only 0 to 3, so it only shows up, as serving that population. So that can be helpful as well.
I think Jen makes a good point. The Life Course tools help you start planning on what you want, what you don't want, and then you can look at these resources and different and what's available in your community and what's available statewide on how to help you get there and what you might qualify for that will make you get you to that good life that you want. And if you don't want to live in your parents' house, and how that might help you with, different technology that might help support you when you don't want to live at home with mom and dad anymore, or just different ways that you can get there when you figure out what you want and what you don't want and what you might need.
Are there any resources that any of you would like for us to go back to a specific slide? We still have time to give a little more information if there's one specific resource that you'd like to know more about. Jen, is there anything that you want to add? Why don't we send you the long version of this so then you could post both of them? Yes, remember AbleTech for all your assistive technology needs. I don't know if you got on late, Kim, but we actually covered AbleTech under assistive technology. It's very helpful. Angela and I both have utilized your services. And then don't forget, we kind of glossed over the reuse program that they have. But, you know, if you know of someone that has a Dynavox or, you know, a walker, a stander, a bath chair that they're no longer using, or you see one in a garage sale, grab it, and then you can provide it to them. They have durable medical equipment providers that go through them and make sure that everything's okay with it. And then the first few months that it's there, it's open to Sooner Care recipients, but after that, anyone. If you have a family that has an adult or a child that has no insurance, that can be a way to help them access things that, or maybe their insurance won't cover it, or the deductible is so high they can't afford it. That's a great thing. Okay, how about stool risers? I'm assuming if maybe that'd be a good Kim question, but if they have one, I have two of them that have never been used. I guarantee you they would take them, Judy. I can't imagine they wouldn't. So,
and then has these, and they also take them as donations. So yeah.
Yes.
Judy, get with Kim.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had another question. What is Sooner Success? I know we get a lot of Sooner things around here. When I first moved here 10 years ago from Texas, that was the one thing that threw me off. Everything was Sooner something. But Sooner Success is a great program. They're in, I think, 13 counties. I think somebody might need to correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But they have great resources. 17, thank you. 17 counties in Oklahoma. They've got a great new website. They've got great resources. They help families navigate just different resources and find connections to different things in their community. They've got, I know, like I think it's the Canadian Valley group is doing a pool party soon. They have different activities that they partner with different agencies to do different trainings.
They also have a respite program. They just received a grant for the Lifetime Respite Program. And their website is Sooner, it's all one word, soonersuccess.ouhsc.edu. Did we miss that slide? I don't know.
We did.
We may have. But if you go to their website, you can see where all of their county coordinators are. And each of their county coordinators has a hub for supporting both professionals or families. Many of them run county coalitions. So they help identify gaps in care in their counties, and then they just work with that team around the table of their county coalitions to help meet the needs of the families. Looks like
yes, they do some great things.
And they have an 800 number that you can call to identify services that really anyone in the whole state can call. And Jen has put their website online there. They also, at one point, they had a grant from the DD Council where they helped to start SIB shops, and they still provide a little bit of funding for the ones that are happening now. And if you go on their website, you can see the list of where all of the SIB shops, which that's a really fun day for the siblings of individuals with disabilities, because sometimes they kind of get overlooked. And it's a really fun day just for them. They're usually 2 or 3 hours. Most of them have them divided by the age of the youth.
And some of them run in conjunction too with respite programs, so that the siblings can go to a SIB shop, and then maybe the kids with disabilities or special health care needs can go to the respite place, so parents can get, away from their children all at the same time. So that's really good.
Okay, so Jen's gonna post the full slides.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know they have
that we
Spanish
did at the
subshots as well.
Transition Institute. Great, that has a lot more slides on it.
Yes, it does. We cut a lot to make this fit in 40 minutes. So it was kind of the down and dirty version of community resources.
Exactly.
But we've got, usually when we do this, it's a 3-hour training, and we go over everything really in depth and help everybody understand what things do. So you guys kind of got the quick and dirty version, but and Eva posted they have Spanish subshots. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Jen, do you want to jump in and talk about the next training that will be going?
Please. Can you actually go back to that last slide? I think they're mentioned.
Sure.
Yes.
Just to kind of remember, help everyone remember. So we have one more webinar in this short series of 3. I'm hopeful that you guys have enjoyed so far the first 2. It's really been fun to get these presenters up. And just remember that Zarrow Center website that was posted, and as well as we will email it. All our recordings and the slides will be, you'll be able to download them and view the recording again. But I also encourage you to definitely bookmark Angela and Joni's phone number. That's what they're here for. So we're all in it together to, just help everyone get a good life. So our next webinar is, and I just totally took it off my page, is July 18th. I know it's the summer. Hopefully you guys can do it 9 to 10 in the morning. And as we briefly mentioned, it's about the life course tools. Wanda Felty with the Center for Learning and Leadership, and Heather Pike, again with the Oklahoma Family Network, are going to lead us through that. And I know we use the life course tools at the Youth Leadership Forum, helping the young adults start thinking about what they want, what they don't want. You can still register, so if you'll just go to the Zarrow Center website, again, the same link that I have been posting, just go to that website. You can register if you for that. If you're not sure that you registered for all 3, just go ahead and register it again. That way I can send out an email to you. After this, shortly, I will send you one more email with a survey link. If you guys don't mind, please complete that survey so that we know what you've liked, and also possible topics of interest, so that we can, if we want to continue bringing you these webinars. And then after you complete the short survey, we'll send you a link to download a participation certificate for your professional development. What else have I forgotten? Joni, Angela, Eva, Claudia? Anyone? Renee?
Yeah, and if anyone's online that saw the resources that's from that agency and has a change, feel free to shoot us an email and tell us so we can update our version as well.
We cut a few just as we were going through.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for attending, and we will get this stuff up on the website so that you guys can refresh and download and be able to have those links. But other than that, I think we're done. Thank you, Angela and Joni. We appreciate you.
Thanks for helping us get it all figured out.
Bye, guys. Have a good week. Happy Teachers Week.
Okay.